personal experience having worked with AI for over 20 years. I have also been privileged to spend the majority of my research focused on AI in medicine. I'm still on the engineering side of things, but that also makes me closer to artificial intelligence, how it works, what values does it create, and in what way it can be integrated in a quick way as well as on a long-term planning basis. I also have had the opportunity to present the work that we do in AI in QS Reimagine Education. And it was selected as the winner of the AI in Education category last year, which gives me confidence that we have some experience on how to take AI to the audience, to the masses, and how to turn it into a universal skill that is applicable to all domains and creates values in them. So thank you for the invite. I'm looking forward to carrying this discussion after the talk. And thank you, Dr. Hala, for choosing me. I hope that you will benefit from what I have to offer. Thank you so much.
Excuse me, sir. Can we comment, please? Can we ask something?
Of course.
After the
Yes.
start of the session, Dr. Walid, we will have a
No,
ground.
in front of before that, we ask you if you can video or
We are
the
recording.
meeting.
The session is recorded. The session is
Okay,
recorded.
thank you. So it will be available for us again and again. Thank you very much. Very kind of you.
Thank you.
So shall we start?
Yes, please.
Dr. Karar, go ahead.
Yes, I just need to. Okay. Assalamu alaikum, everyone. I am Karar Mushtaq, and I will be your moderator for this session today. And welcome for the session about leadership on AI and medical education. Next, please. First of all, we have our amazing presenters today. We'll start with Professor Mohammed Ghazal, an AI scholar and innovator, also an associate dean at Abu Dhabi University, an author of more than 500 researches, and one of the top 2 scientists on top 2 Stanford scientists. Welcome, Dr. Mohammed. Next, we have Dr. Hala Al-Musawi, a global healthcare leader and distinguished educator, one of the top 50 businesswomen in Maryland, USA, led more than 26 transformative program. Led a transformative program around 26 countries. Welcome, Dr. Hala. Next, please. First and lastly, I remind you of our ground rules. Please keep your mics off and your camera off. If you have any questions, you can leave them in the chat box, and the discussion will take place at the end of the session. Of course, you can raise your hand and participate then. And please take care of the chat box. My colleague Omar will share the attendance form there in the end of the session. And now I leave the mic for Dr. Hala Al-Musawi. Yeah, the mic is yours, Dr. Hala.
Thank you very much, Dr. Karar and Dr. Mariam, for the introduction. And Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh wa Jum'ah Mubarakah لكم جميعا. It's a pleasure to be with you again, to see you again. I hope I'm there in person. And this evening we'll embark on the next chapter. I believe last year we had 2 sessions organized, led by RCP and part of RCP AI series, diving into the dynamic world of artificial intelligence in medical education, or AI in MedEd. So tonight we'll chart our course through the future of artificial intelligence in medical education. And again, thank you so much, Dr. Mohammed, for joining us and for accepting my invitation. It was on a short notice, so I'm very much appreciative to that. Let me go over the agenda quickly so we have a clear expectation of what we will see over the next 2 hours. So after the introduction, I will briefly go over kind of AI integration. And I looked at the slides prepared by Dr. Mohammed, really very impressive, very comprehensive slides with examples. So I will skip some of my slides based on my experience, AI integration and AI implementation here in the US. And we'll have more time to learn from his insights, experience, and AI integration, responsible adoption, and implementation at Abu Dhabi University. Can we move to the next slide? Excellent. So wanted to share the results of the poll. Thank you so much for everyone who participated. I believe the deans, thank you so much. And as you can see, most of the deans expressed a strong desire for immediate actionable strategies to integrate AI into existing systems. Others emphasized the importance of collaborative brainstorming and capacity building, signaling a shared commitment to a thoughtful, context-aware and driven transformation, which is great. As I mentioned, this is our third session, so definitely we are moving from theory. I think it's important to talk about theory, about evidence, about kind of the blueprint for the architects into more actionable steps. Excellent. So maybe now I think I need to share screen if I have this.
Yes, Dr. Hala, you can share screen. You're a co-host.
Maybe I can start with a very short 2 minutes video about AI, example of AI application in one of the schools here, medical schools specifically. We have over now, I believe 85% of our medical schools already have AI integrated responsibly, effectively into medical education, and we are learning every day. So allow me to share this video before I... Okay. Can you see my screen?
Artificial intelligence.
Can you see my screen?
Unfortunately not.
Okay. Let me upload. Can you see it now?
I believe, yeah, it is. Yeah, we can definitely now.
That's excellent. So let's do that. It's 2 minutes.
Is quickly becoming a part of our daily lives, whether in the office or the classroom. For tonight's In Depth, CBS's Tom Hansen reports on one medical school that has become the first in the nation to incorporate AI fully into its doctor training program.
Medical students are well-versed in the rigorous demands required of their education, but new artificial intelligence tools like ChatGPT EDU from OpenAI are designed to help. The Icahn School of Medicine at Mount Sinai is the first medical school in the nation to grant access to the platform to all of its MD and graduate students.
Transient pelvic pain going through a blood vessel right in through your wrist.
Faris Ghulamali uses it to prep for surgeries and improve his bedside manner when explaining complex diagnoses to patients.
Do you think that using AI shortened down the time it would have taken you had you not had that tool?
It really helped at least reframe the explanation.
OpenAI has collaborated with universities and med schools like Mount Sinai to ensure robust safeguards are in place to protect student and patient privacy.
I think in medicine and health in particular, it's essential that students learn how to use AI and how to use it safely. So
Leah Belsky is OpenAI's VP and General Manager of Education. She equates the impact of AI in the 21st century workplace to that of email and internet access in the 1990s.
Where does AI fall on the scale of one of these transformative tools that will be integrated?
It helps them to learn faster. It helps them to discover new areas of knowledge. It helps them to explore more deeply. And so what we're really focused is making sure that there is equitable access to AI.
Vivek Kampa relies on the tech as support in complex research projects.
It gives me a pseudo-clinician styled mentor who I can ask questions to at any time of day, as well as a pseudo software engineering collaborator with whom I can debug problems that I'm having.
For Associate Professor Benjamin Glicksberg, these AI tools can be a real time saver.
Now, as an educator, our time are limited. As much as I want to be available to students, unfortunately, it doesn't always line up. So this is like a really nice facilitator.
With full growing with it, as opposed to fearing this thing and holding it in this scary sense of it's going to replace us, I think is really instrumental.
It's changed everything. It's changed how I think. It's changed how I interact with students. It's changed how I mentor and even try to innovate myself.
When you're an innovation in medicine that helps both doctor and patient. Tom Hansen, CBS News, New York.
Excellent. So let me stop sharing now this. Great. So this is just an example of AI integration and implementation in one of the medical schools. I wanted to kick us off with this video.
None of you can create your own website by saying, this is what I want. With Wix, you can.
Sorry, let me share my slides. Excellent. Can you see my slide?
Yes, it's very clear.
Excellent. Great. And I'm not using PowerPoint. I'm using one of the AI platforms. So I generated the content, then I use one of the platforms. We'll talk about the platforms that you are currently use in Iraq. And I'm sure we'll learn a lot from Dr. Mohammed about the tools, because each nation has kind of, I would say, adopted certain, whether it's with Microsoft or whether it's with Google, specific tools and specific platforms. So
Sorry,
personally,
Dr. Hala, can you make it the bigger size? It is small size as appeared.
Okay, let me see.
Full size, if you can go to the full size of the file rather than.
I don't believe there is that
Yeah, because it's
slideshow property in the. It's
okay.
just zooming in.
Exactly. So I'm zooming in now. Is
Okay.
it clear? Because I'm not using the slides. That's why. Thank you, Dr. Mariam. So yeah, personally, I look at it as just like kind of the stethoscope. Once revolutionized the physical exam by allowing physicians to hear what previously silent. AI in med-ed is transforming medical education, creating a huge opportunities. So as I mentioned, last year we had 2 sessions on artificial intelligence where we focused on the what and why, exploring the fundamentals, right? So we talked about key benefits, key risks, and some definitions, yes, not from technical kind of engineering side of things. We went over these very briefly, but we talked about kind of implications, benefits, risks, some considerations specifically for medical education or at the higher level, at the higher education level. And today we hope to start kind of this moving from theory to action, where we look at the how it works, and we look at some examples, and I will skip my examples because more focused here in the US, and really focus on examples that Dr. Mohammed will share from Abu Dhabi University, since it's in the region. So kind of context is very important for us as we tailor and embed artificial intelligence platforms in a responsible, effective, and ethical way. And we'll talk about the so what. Hopefully we'll have some time for that, but I believe mainly to hear from you, to have this brainstorming, questions and answers, and talk about next steps, and we may, if we need to organize for another session on how to embed, then definitely we can go over that. So maybe to a little bit understand the scale of this shift, we should look at the global scale, because what we shared last year, things are moving really very fast. Every day we have a new evidence, we have studies, we have research. So the edtech market is not just growing, it's exploding, with a projected global market size of over 19 billion by 2030. This is according to a study in 2023, a projection for EdTech, and the massive investment reflect a world that recognizes AI as the new operating system. In terms of adoption and efficiency, we are not alone, right? In this exploration, it's already, as I mentioned, everywhere. Every day we have these meetings here. We have learning centers at each university to look at new tools, to look at kind of evidence to measure performance, whether for students, whether for teachers, or at the management level. So current data from AMA, American Medical Association, indicates that 75% of medical institutions globally, including 85% here in the US, are already exploring embedding artificial intelligence for diagnostic training, surgical preparation, and the efficiency of medical simulations can be boosted by 3 times. This is very important because medical simulation now is a big field everywhere in medical schools, 3 times through the use of adaptive artificial intelligence scenarios. This is, as I mentioned, is a critical piece for evidence from Lancet Digital Health. And it doesn't just make simulation digital, it makes them responsive, leading to significantly better skill acquisition by challenging students at exactly the right level of difficulty. I will skip this one just to save time because I believe we exceeded the time allocated for me. And in terms of the key tools, we'll go over some examples that we'll hear from Dr. Mohammed. But overall, what does this look like in the classroom? I think it's very, very important as we are moving toward artificial intelligence or AI-powered virtual patients that offer realistic simulations and immediate feedback. We also utilize intelligent tutoring systems, which act like personal tutor for every student. And I believe we talked about this in one of the sessions, tailoring content to their unique knowledge gap. Also, AI helps in diagnostic and image analysis, helping students recognize the patterns in complex medical images that human eye might initially miss. So this creates personalized learning paths, optimizing study time by identifying exactly where a student needs to focus. With educators, this is for students. For educators, empowers them, right? For deans, faculty, it offers opportunities for curriculum optimization, and I believe we'll see some examples how Abu Dhabi University Medical School use that for curriculum optimization. We use this. We have many tools in generating content based on materials that we upload. So we use content. So whatever we generate is not based on just open sources because content is very important, and make sure that data privacy, accuracy, all these things are taken into account. So think of it as a virtual teaching assistant for the deans and for the teachers or faculty that handles time-consuming administrative tasks and grading, which frees us to focus on what we do best. And I think what we need to focus on and do best is mentoring, right? And meaningful student interaction. For medical students, I believe we talked about personalized adaptive learning, safe clinical simulation, and enhanced research tools, and we heard from the video. For the administrators and for the administration, which is very important, administratively, AI acts as an early warning system. This is how I look at it, through predictive analytics, where we can identify at-risk students early on and provide them with timely interventions, improving retention, for example, improving performance, and also promotes fair admission. And we shared example about one of the universities here when we faced the summer melt, right? With using AI helped with increase admissions and increase the fair admissions by streamlining applications and reducing the unconscious bias, which is another important area in using artificial intelligence or AI-powered platforms in medicine. med-ed that can creep into human only review process, creating more equitable pathways into our profession. So in terms of quickly over the resource optimizations and ethics, it's clear and we have evidence that AI in med-ed maximizes our physical resources through intelligent scheduling of facilities and faculty time. And I'm sure you use this, I think at the, let me move here, use this at the school level. However, we integrate these tools, we must address the critical considerations, as I mentioned, data privacy, security, not just like use any tool. That's why I believe it's very important for decision makers, for program leaders and officers to really understand artificial intelligence, not the tech side or the application of the tools, but also have an understanding of what works, which one is good for our context, for our school, as a decision maker, and also because we cannot just deploy AI without robust safeguards for sensitive data and patient information. In terms of ethical and practical challenges, of course, as with any technological advancements, there are many challenges. And by the way, a lot of evidence research on the risks associated with the use, especially if it's irresponsible use of artificial intelligence. So we must remain vigilant against the algorithmic biases to prevent the perpetuation of healthcare disparities, because this is another big area of concern, which is the equity issue. So our mission is to balance artificial intelligence efficiency with human expertise and clinical judgment and the art of medicine. Both faculty and students require comprehensive AI literacy training. I believe many schools are thinking about it or already embedding it, but it's very, very important and it's mandatory now for many schools. I shared many examples about medical schools in California, Purdue University, our school. It's mandatory to have this training for faculty and for students to understand not just what the tools can do, but what their limitations are. So maybe I can stop. Yes.
مساء الخير، عفوا أنا دكتور محمد عمر من سليمانية، بس إذا أمكن السلايدات مالتك كلش ناعمة ما حد يقدر. لا بس سويها بالضبط لو هيك أكو
عفوا دكتور، مو هي هذا مو باوربوينت فما
ما يخالف،
يصير
حتى إذا
شير
PDF
سلايد.
ممكن. أكو الدكتور أشر إذا تشوفين على الرايت سايد 1 2 3 4 5 6 after the refreshment هاي الايكون اذا تدوسين يصير مثل سلايد شو.
أنا آسفة، عاشت إيدك أستاذ. أنا
لا مو
وصلت
هيك ما تفيد هيك شيء. هذا شوفي علي هذه دا تشوفين هاي الايقونات على اليد اليمين.
نعم.
اكو هاي مال ريفرشمنت.
أنا وصلت.
انزلي
أنا
انزلي
آسفة.
انزلي
نعم.
بعد انزلي.
أوكي.
ايوه بعد ايوه هذا.
أوكي، عاشت إيدك. Thank you so much. I'm learning. بس
عفوا.
عاشت إيدكم. Thank you so much. This is really very helpful. أنا وصلت للسلايد اللي I need to hand over to Dr. Mohammed, but thank you so much for this comment. Maybe my next, I would say part, I will use the full screen. So thank you. أشكرك. So maybe I will stop here so I can hand it over to Dr. Mohammed to proceed with his presentation. بس أنا I will make sure to share the slides, يعني make it available for everyone. Definitely, I share the PDF version of this presentation, but I can definitely share it again. Excellent. Thank you very much. I'm sorry for
Let me know if
the oversight.
if you can.
Yeah.
Let me know if you can see my screen.
Yeah.
Yes, Doctor, we are seeing your screen, but
right.
not on slideshow.
Even now, can you see the slideshow?
Yes, now we can.
It is now proper.
All right, perfect. Thank you so much. And thank you, Dr. Hala, for your presentation. I will echo many of the different application areas and strategies that you have mentioned in sharing the experience of Abu Dhabi University. I will start exploring with you a number of different success stories that happened, mostly due to R&D efforts and in-house activities around the university. And in what way did this come to impact education in general and medical education in particular? Before this, I will try to create. Now, I am not a physician myself. I come from an engineering background, so allow me to begin by defining some elements of artificial intelligence that I think are important for my discussion, so that when they come later on, they are clear. When we refer to artificial intelligence, we refer to every attempt that we make to try to mimic human intelligence. And that intelligence can manifest in many different ways, whether it is memorization, whether it is reasoning, whether it is analysis, synthesis, and generation. All are aspects of intelligence that artificial intelligence is trying to copy humans in doing. When we learn this intelligence from data, we refer to it as machine learning. And when we learn using patterns and models that are mathematically inspired by human brains and how neurons are connected, then these are neural networks. When they are deep enough, layered, it becomes known as deep learning. And if you think of all of the reasons why we are currently focused on AI, if there is one particular aspect that has led into why you are attending today, I would say it is advancement to deep learning. And deep learning can manifest in two main ways. In one of them, it's in its ability to process and handle and extract actionable information from large volumes of data. And since medical data happens to carry those characteristics, then deep learning works pretty well with medical data. Because CTs and MRIs and medical histories and labs and all sorts of biomarkers and imaging markers all carry that kind of information which we cannot spot. So the biggest reason why AI creates value in medicine comes from diagnostics supports, and this is thanks to deep learning. In the same way, when we take deep learning and make it model time or sequences, then it starts to be able to generate text. The ChatGPT is a good example of that. So when we deploy deep learning in a manner that allows it to replicate time or sequences or series of data, we get the ability to generate text. Now, this is key to what's to come. So in summary, and pretty quickly, every time that we try to mimic human intelligence, it's AI. When we do it from data, it's machine learning. And the best machine learning nowadays that is responsible for all of the buzz is deep learning. And deep learning can generate, it can synthesize, or it can analyze. So every opportunity that it can apply this to medical profession, it creates value. Whether that value is in trying to reduce the information from data to actionable info, and all of the diagnostics and disease grading and all of it, or in being able to recall information and to generate it on the spot at a moment where a doctor would need it to make that informed decision at the right time. So with that bit of introduction, as you would imagine, with these two abilities to analyze and synthesize, AI has found applications in many ways. Because I can generate medical simulations that in the past would have taken so much time. I can now do that easily. I can analyze the student's performance in an operation or a procedure, and then decide whether this is appropriate to the expectation or that it is not. I can synthesize, I can analyze. So from this ability to reduce information to something that is actionable at the right time and doing it quickly, and from the ability to take in a query and then produce out of that information that would be instrumental, the value for the medical community has been driven. And when you come to look at AI in medical education, you would come to notice that the use cases, they start to stem from those two particular abilities, the analysis and the synthesis. So we are talking about a doctor that is in the future, or a medical student that is in the future, will become a doctor that is AI powered. That means that doctor can now explore information in ways that they couldn't do before. Maybe the expertise boundlines would stop them from doing so. They are in a particular specialty, and they are just referring to doctors with another specialty for their input. But now they can walk through those lines of specialty. They can explore other areas in their judgment and in their diagnosis. So that is something that did not exist before, because our ability to absorb information, to retain that information, and then to drive value from that information as humans, and as much as doctors, push it to the extreme, remains to be limited to the, confined disease or organ or system that they are, best trained for. While it still extends to general practice in general, but specialties have become the norm. But what if now specialty has eroded boundaries, for example, thanks to AI, in ways that would at least lower the burden of doctors who are in scarce numbers. In addition to this, we have doctors that not only now can explore areas that they couldn't do before, but we have doctors who also can rely on AI producing information that is helpful for them to make a diagnosis, but need to be aware of AI's biases and tendency to sometimes hallucinate. So they must do this responsibly, augmenting their own abilities as opposed to replacing them fully. I have personally been to two different doctors who are at the time of discussing with me were also discussing with AI. And I appreciated that, because that has made them better diagnosticians. So in terms of education, we have to wake up to these realities that now educators can do far more, and now students and eventually doctors can do far more. And we need to start to prepare students to such realities. We need to benefit and capitalize on this. Whether this is to improve their ability to reason clinically and diagnose, whether this is in increasing our ability to produce simulations and scenarios that would improve their training, whether this is making it faster for us to essentially give them better feedback, and that feedback is instrumental to their learning, whether it is to reduce our load and make us focus on, instead of things that are tedious and time consuming, into things that are more useful, like exploring R&D around what we come to appreciate and like and be passionate about. The attention, and you saw the video that was shared by Dr. Ala, the attention that we can give to a particular learner now far exceeds what we could do in the past without compromising qualities, boundaries that were limited because of resources and now have been removed. So with that bit of an introduction, let us explore particular use cases that we have found very useful for us at Abu Dhabi University and share that experience. We have found it quite easy now to produce scalable reasoning training. And to do so typically would have in the past been quite difficult because of the costs associated with creating these scenarios, these simulations. Now, this is something that AI can do very, very well. It can scale. So all what I need is my knowledge, my creativity, and I can produce realistic medical scenarios. And the shift now of my role goes from producing those myself into auditing those that have been produced by AI in mass, and then being able to ensure their quality, and in doing so, make that very valuable tool, one that is not detrimental to the education of a future doctor. When we talk about systems that are in place, for instance, that would come to create pathways that are specific to the learner, this is something that we all can see the value of. In fact, that kind of personalized or adaptive learning that is always discussed is something that has been in the education literature for a very long time. as people have started to discuss universal design theory and learner's paths and so on. But we never had the means for that because that was difficult to do. It was difficult to do even for our current faculty because it required a system. Now it doesn't really require a system because these systems have become so easy to use that even a faculty member using ChatGPT or similar Gen AI can go and can create personalized learner paths simply by identifying what those paths are and then prompting and chatting with AI to produce all of the learner path and then target which student goes to which learner path simply by coming to learn better about how they learn. So it doesn't need to be a system. It could be something that you can initiate and immediately use right away by simply investing in teachers' abilities to prompt better. But the systems exist and they have a lot of values. And what they do is they are engines on top of what I've just explained to you. So systems that you would buy that would come to create different learner paths, they operate in exactly the same way. They identify or classify the learner type. So you can we cooked up ourselves. We didn't have to use an outside system for this. All what you need to do is to understand how better does your student learn. And some of them, they learn by seeing, some of them, they learn by doing, some of them, they learn by reading and so on. And now it becomes a prompt way to try to produce the same lessons in so many different styles, leading into better learning outcomes across the board. We also have been able to leverage technology. So what I'll show you next is something that comes from Google, and it is one of arguably the most impactful teaching and learning tools that we have discovered lately and found so much use for. One which is called Notebook LM. Notebook LM allows you to create, especially as a medical educator, by the way, allows you to create the power of a large language model, generative AI. This is the AI that can produce text. ChatGPT and Gemini are examples of this, that is confined in its reasoning to documents that you would upload. So the difference between an LLM like ChatGPT or Gemini is that they draw from knowledge that was acquired during their training, or they reach out to the internet, acquire knowledge from there, and then bring it to you in a manner that would integrate it into the output that you would see. But if and one thing that we would learn later is that AI hallucinates. It comes up with information that is quite plausible, but wrong. And in the medical profession, this could be extremely dangerous. While much of that good use is life-saving, but this could really be quite the opposite of this. So in order for me to be able to confine my AI to a certain set of documents from where it will draw the answers, and if it can't, then it will not continue to just generate anything, then Notebook LM allows me to do this. So it puts the educator in control. How does it do so? It allows you to upload a number of documents. These could be any documents that you want, lecture notes, PDF, guidelines, medical articles, books. And then it allows you to produce out of those books many excellent learning resources for your students, whether it's an audio overview that they consume on their way to the university, for example, by listening to it in the car, whether it's a video overview that summarizes your main points, whether it's a mind map that takes in a very complex set of documents and produces a very structured way of navigating those documents, quizzes, flashcards, reports to read. Yani, anybody can now upload what is their choice. Here is where your input is. Here is where it matters, because it is you who decided what are the best documents to learn from. So we say something in AI, you say garbage in, garbage out. So if you put bad things in, you're only going to get bad things out. But if you could put good things and you have the experience to do so, because you know exactly what the best resources are, you know exactly where you have learned from and you have found valuable and trustworthy. So you can now become the recipe builder of what would be the right body of knowledge for which your students are going to rely on. And then come to produce synthesized audios and videos and mind maps and flashcards and reports. And in doing so, see, if you have different learners who are learning in personalized ways, if you have somebody who learns by seeing, then the video is for them. Somebody who likes by reading, then they will do the reports. somebody who likes to learn by doing, they maybe can take the quiz. So it is really, clicks away for you to be able to generate that wealth of the learning material using only just your choices of documents to put in. I'll just show you a bit of a video, and that will give you an idea of what you can do. Just let me know, can you hear the audio, or do I do my own voiceover on it? Can you hear the audio from the video?
No, there is no audio.
Okay, so I'll do the voiceover then. So when you start, you can just create a notebook. That notebook could be anything you really want. So it could be a topic, it could be a learning outcome, and then you upload sources into it. And this is, by the way, a freely available tool that we are now, all of our teachers are using, and they're creating huge values for. You can also get the content from either a Google Drive, especially if you have lots of documents, paste the text, or just simply provide links. Once you put these in, then now you can query, you can prompt. In addition to being able to generate all of what I have just mentioned in the past, you should be able to also now, after having uploaded those documents, ask your questions. And now, as an educator, you can trust the answers will only be drawn from those sources and not from an LLM that has learned from a massive amount of documents and have mastered the skill of providing wrong information, if not in the right way. So after the prompt, you get information. Only that information will come directly from these sources that you're provided. And you have the ability to take in the information and then to provide all of these artifacts that we said. You can generate a podcast, like an audio. You can generate a video. You can generate a study guide, a timeline, frequently asked questions, all of these awesome learning resources. In addition to this, one thing that you can do is that you can intervene early by looking at students who are not performing really well, and then help them get better grades by resolving their issues before those translate into terrible grades. This is something that you can do today, not hard to do. And Excel is all what you need to do it. We all are sitting on wealth of informations of performance assessment metrics on our students. The question really just becomes of how you can use AI and simple Excel tools to produce regressive models of the students' performance, and then use those regressive models in order to predict how students are performing before they produce. So this is not a final grade. This is a predicted final grade that comes from past performance of the students, increasingly improving as we go on. So I'll predict their final grade from the assignments alone. Then I'm going to add the assignments and the first quiz, and that gives me a prediction of their final grade. Then the assignment, the first quiz, and the midterm. Then the assignment, the quiz, and the midterm, and the next assignment, and the next assignment. So progressively, every time that I complete one assessment, I have a better zoning in on what the grades of the students will be, and I can identify those who are at risk and immediately do them. This is all what you need for this. I'm a big advocate of using tools that are accessible, because you can always talk the talk about AI and what it can do and so on, but only when the tools becomes accessible enough that you get the maximum impact. So this is something that can complete. Yeah, it is AI. It is AI the way that it should be done, but this is only possible. All what you need for it is Excel. Now, if you go a little bit more sophisticated, you can start to analyze sentiments from students' interaction in class. And that is not hard to do. Now, there are many tools like Read AI, which is actually now joining us for this very session, and it will make exploring this particular talk easier. When you add to it speaker identification, then you'll be able to tell who are the students who are participating and who are the ones who are not participating, whether this participation is by asking questions, raising hands, doing group works, and so on. So this way, you can manage a large group. Even if you have a class of hundreds of students, you can now still monitor performance as far as interaction is concerned, and then report on this. Author attribution is also a very key skill. Now, doctors publish, and when they publish, they do the work of a researcher. And in doing the work of a researcher, they sometimes use AI to produce parts of these publications that they write. So If I want to improve students' writing skills so they are able to publish, I need to ensure that they are the ones who produce the work. So in doing so, I need author attribution. I need an AI that is capable of detecting whether the students have done the work or have not done the work. Is this AI's work or is this student's work? Without it, assessment crumbles. Without being able to identify whether this is the work of Ahmed or not, then you'll not be able to measure it. And if you cannot measure it, you cannot improve it. Simple as that. So author attribution is where we use AI in order to be able to authenticate students' work. And we do this by comparing the AI's work with a body of knowledge that has been built by students' performances throughout the year. And it can simply answer the question of whether this is the same person or it's a different person who did that kind of work. Vivas and oral exams are now marketed as the answer to replace assignments, because assignments are, can very much be generated by AI nowadays, no matter how sophisticated they are. And educators are aware of that fact, so they don't trust them as much as they did in the past. And because of this, being able to do author attribution, to do oral exams in an automated way. A team of my students is using thermal cameras and regular cameras to have students go through what is an automated oral exam. Because the problem with an oral exam, you cannot do it for a large class of 200 students or 300 students. What if AI allows you to do it? AI scales really, really well. What if it can, investigate student by students whether they have learned or not, make them go through that interview or Viva or oral exam, and in doing so, block pathways where they are using AI to demonstrate a skill and thus not learning. I mean, it's a big risk. When you ask people, I mean, you are going to be trained by a doctor. They need to, treated by a doctor. You need to know that this doctor is well trained. There's not somebody who has been able to manage to go through part of their education without having to put the effort that comes with that part. In addition to this, AI allows us to look at faces to see if students are happy, are they sad, are they concerned, are they angry. That kind of human emotion detection is something that can alert educators, especially in large classrooms, as to how students are collectively feeling about any particular aspect. That feedback can then help the educator focus the next class to try to address concerns over parts of the material that may have not landed in the way that we want them to land. So this is something that China is currently doing in many schools. They have cameras that would monitor students' reactions and engagements within the classroom for the purpose of providing feedback for the teachers, especially in large classrooms, about how they can improve their work. This is an example of some of this work that we do here. And here what you can see is that we have been able to produce an AI in-house that is able to look at certain features of the human face and then determine whether this person is currently, imagine doing that for every student that you have in the classroom. We have built a device that can be put on every desk. It has a camera similar to this one. It looks at the student's face. And if they're confused, it will flag that this part is confused. And when it's confused for 30, 40% of the students, this tells me that maybe I can investigate ways that I can teach that part better. In addition to this, we can make students explore objects that otherwise, it would be difficult for them to explore in a very interactive way. So for instance, if we want them to go over scans in certain ways, we can start to mix AI's ability to analyze medical imaging data and then maybe mark tissue that would otherwise look suspicious or is tumors, or we can then allow those students to interact with that particular object by, for example, as you can see here, we see one student in one of my research projects where moving the surface would allow the student to explore different parts. Now, both for learning about the anatomy or visualizing particular diseases from any particular angle, and learning in the process or diagnosing in the process and so on. So this is a better exploration of what it otherwise medical data in a more interactive way. In addition to this, we can start to use and leverage AI to ensure that the students who are currently doing procedures are conforming to any particular requirements when it comes to doing those procedures. And AI can be used to detect so many things. And what we have here, for example, is a project where we have used a simple robot in the lab to ensure that students are wearing masks. That was at the time of COVID, and we continues to improve this technology so that it can monitor compliance, especially if that compliance is needed within operating theaters or in different settings and so on. We have also started to build and use AI that can navigate autonomously in a classroom like this robot and then provide help for the students. So you have a very large class and the teacher is currently teaching in that class, but you also need robots to go around to look at students who are raising their hand and then to address their needs in the middle of the classroom. This is something that you can cook up easily now. The technology to have a robot navigate an environment easily now, even if that environment has obstacle, does exist. This is the same kind of technology that you see in these Roombas and robots that do simultaneous localization and mapping so that it can navigate an environment. Add to it an LLM, then you get the ability for students to ask their questions out of these autonomous TAs, if you want to call them, and then have those questions answered. This is something that we can build easily and deploy easily nowadays. We've discussed, prompt engineering and what it can help you achieve in terms of creating content, especially Notebook LM has been able to do this. If you still run paper exam, even when AI is helping you, but not necessarily in the transformative ways that people talk about. Like, for example, here, maybe you still run paper-based exam, you still believe in them, or you don't have a room which has so many computers, or you can't ask students to bring in laptops to the classrooms and so on. So they still do exams on papers, and you still do them en masse. You still do them for hundreds of students. So the automated grading and the analysis of those exams is now something that can be done. This is a simple system where students submit their exam papers simply by just walking by and holding the paper up, and then they leave. And AI takes care of capturing the image, segmenting it, getting students' performance, and then giving you a grading, and then passing that grading per student for you to be able to manage the large number of students all at once. So here, and that can be contactless because students will just pass by the camera, scan their papers on the move, and then go. So AI can help you address needs, not necessarily the needs that everybody talks about of changing completely how assessments are done, but even simple needs of doing things that you trust and like to do, but do them in a more scalable and easier to do way. Even looking at cheat detection. So if you are running or if you are using AI for a large group of students and you want AI to help you with the process of identifying if students are looking on the side or are cheating or are holding a phone or using a phone and so on. So as you can see, AI helps you scale. You scale your proctoring so it can alleviate that particular concerns from you. This is a demo. Again, all of this is developed in-house where regular behavior is flagged as normal and behavior that is otherwise suspicious would come to be flagged as something that is worth another look from your end. So again, as you can see, AI is removing from us some of these tedious work that we do, like grading and proctoring and so on. This is something that is feasible. I mean, not hard to produce in-house. Even class management. If you have to, I'm sure, I hope that I'm doing okay time-wise. How much time do I have? Because I think I'm getting close to the time limit.
It's okay. We can, if we need, we can continue after the break, Doctor, if needed.
All
This
right,
is really
perfect.
very,
So,
very important. Thank you.
Khalas, then let's stop here a little bit for the break and we'll continue after, inshallah. Thank you so much.
Excellent. Thank you so much. We'll get back to you. I think we have 10 minutes break, so we'll see you all in 10 minutes.
Just a small reminder to everyone, please check the attendance form. It should be in the chat box right now, and we'll meet you after the break.
Let me continue. creating your own teaching assistant who takes the charge of answering the first level of questions, or what they call a chatbot, has now become extremely easy to do. Not only is it easy to do, you can control the quality of that chatbot. So, for example, if you are managing a large class and you get typically many questions and you would like AI to answer the questions that are, let's say, about specific aspects like midterm related or final related, you can do that. You can design your own chatbot, launch it easily, make it part of many of these platforms that you currently use for media like Signal, Telegram, WhatsApp, and then students can engage it and they can start to ask it questions, and you can design exactly how you would like these questions to be answered, whether you would like AI to be providing some answers or support or just leading the questions or making them ask the right ones and so on. So you can even finely control how you would like AI behave towards the questions. This is not hard to do. Anybody can do this, especially in today's tools. Some tools would incur a bit of a cost, but the cost is definitely offset by the many benefits of deploying such a system. In addition to this, you can also synthesize material easily that carries your likeness. So you can build an avatar of yourself. Now, of course, this is something that you can either believe in or not believe in, but it does carry value. So, for example, for me as an educator, if in today's lecture I feel that students need more help in X, Y, and Z to prepare them for my lecture, I would immediately just instruct AI to prepare additional material on X, Y, and Z, give it the flavor of the treatment and the links that I want it to make, and ask it to produce a video of me carrying both my looks as well as my audio, and it will produce that video for me of and the lecture and the material, and then I can use that as additional material that I can upload to the students to augment the lecture. It used to be that I would have to record it and I would have to work on it, and it will be not applicable for me to be able to do this for a large number of students or different topics. So I would do it on limited range, add material. But now you don't have to limit yourself for this. So tools like Synthesia, for example, they allow you to provide the script, they allow you to provide the description, and then they either can use avatars which are built in to produce for you the lectures with a video presenter, which we know from research the kind of eye contact that you have with a video presenter keeps students engaged and interested in the material. Audio synthesis, also, if you'd like to use your own slides, but you don't want to appear, but you just would like to generate audio, you can do that with very simple tools like Overdub, which would allow you to then write what is it that you want to write and then produce it in an audio that can be then added to your slides. It can be your own voice if you want, or it can be some standard voice to produce the same. See, the skill that I would suggest that you invest in order to be able to reap all of those benefits is prompt engineering. Many of these tools are simply just front ends to prompt engineering. What does that mean? They are interfaces to exactly the same tool, which is the LLM, that deep learning text generator or media generator that we spoke about earlier in the slides. So prompt engineering is how you can get the best out of that. And that goes into how to design and how to refine and how to get the accurate and effective output that you're looking for. Some part of it is related to the sources. Some part of it's related to the sources that you provided. Sometimes it's related to the language that you give, the context that you build, the instructions and their clarity. But you can really shape the AI's output. Like I said, every tool that you have ever used or you've ever heard of is just a front end to an engine that is driven by the same thing, context. You want AI to give you better things? Provide it with better context. When you do, it will be able to reap the benefits of providing it with context and then serve you far better than before. However, and this is something that I say to the medical community with really huge importance, we have to educate doctors for the futures who know that goes back to the point that Dr. Hala spoke about, which is AI literacy. Cannot stress this point enough. We have to understand the limitations. To understand the limitations, you have to understand the tools. Many of us, they end up trusting AI way too much than what they need to. So AI can provide false and misleading information. And the false and misleading information is not acceptable in medical community. However, doctors still use AI, not even the one that is tailored for medical use, even the general one. And they trust it because they've used it enough times to know that it knows what it's talking about, sometimes even better than a consult to a friend that might come in late or whatnot. But AI hallucinates, and it can, mislead you into thinking that the information that it provides is accurate information. And that's why AI is a universal skill. It's not a skill that you would choose to have in certain curricula. Everybody should be AI literate. It's like today's internet. No one is allowed to be a poor user of the internet anymore. No one is. And AI is precisely the same. So there is a lot to offer for teaching and learning, for classroom engagement, for assessments, for feedback, for edtech. But what is a prerequisite to getting all of these benefits would be to create a generation of AI literate, AI proficient users, doctors who understand AI's limitations, understand its capabilities, and can mold it into all of these scenarios. Now, before, doctors had to work with engineers like myself in order to create a system that can help clinical work. Now they don't need to. They might have an idea and they can, software development has now been democratized. They can just sit down, describe that idea very well, and use vibe coding in order to produce a working prototype of that idea. So not only are they more aware? So that's how we did our medical research. We used to sit with teams of doctors, understand from them how do they do the diagnosis, and then go and produce softwares and AIs that is able to look at things the same way that the doctor would, and then be able to augment those doctors with better diagnostic info that allows them to make an informed decision on a particular case or on how that case progresses through the treatment plan. However, you don't need us anymore. You can do that yourself because you can vibe code. Vibe coding is where you program by simply describing the tool that you want. You don't really need to know any programming languages. You can just explain your ideas in very concise ways if you are AI literate and a proficient user, and AI will generate the tool for you, will run it, and you can create value right there on the spot. This allows you to turn your innovations into papers to improve medical research, which used to be limited by technology. Now that technology is within your grasp, and you can just put it to good use, provided that you can, start to treat AI as a universal skill as opposed to, something that you can do with somebody else. You need to do it yourself. So thank you so much for listening, and I hope that you were able to drive some value from my insights on the matter. And I will look forward to the discussions from this point. Thank you so much.
Excellent. Amazing. Thank you so much. This is really very informative, excellent presentation, Dr. Mohammed. We learned a lot. I'm not sure I can complete the second part of my presentation. Let me see if I can share screen, and
I
I
will
will
probably highlight some highlight from the first presentation, as there is request by many attendees that just to highlight
definitely.
what are the main points of the first presentation.
Definitely. Would you like me to do that, or would you like Dr. Mohammed to summarize some key takeaways? I can definitely do that.
Dr. Mohammed, can you?
Yes.
I am cardiologist as well as I am a medical teacher.
Yeah.
If I just excuse my ignorance, but I would like to have some messages from your side for all to hear about. As a medical teacher, that's our focus for today's session, not health service provider. What is, according to your experience and your application at Abu Dhabi University, what is the most common, evident, useful tools you are using at your medical school from AI?
I would say there are three tools that are the most widely used ones. One of them is Notebook LM, the one that I have presented in my presentation. The reason why it's useful is because you can control the AI. You can limit it to a body of knowledge that you want, and in doing so, produce content that adheres only to this particular database of reliable sources that you provided.
Yes.
So you're taming AI. Instead of being out there with the risk of hallucination, you can eliminate that risk by being in control. And then it allows you to produce teaching materials that caters to different learners' needs. So you get the same material, you get the material that is read and the ones that is seen and the one that is heard, and then explore with how you want the students to engage with those material. The other tool that has driven lots of value for us is Google AI Studio. Google AI Studio allows you to take your ideas and produce out of it a simulation, a game, produce out of it a tool, a diagnostic, tool. You can now be in control of how you produce interactive teaching material as opposed to media based. So now, if I want to create a simulation where students can get engaged with something, I can. If I would like to create, an interactive tool where they can provide symptoms and then get risk assessments of different diseases, I can. All what I need is the idea that is in my head, the know-how, and then I can turn that idea into an interactive or engaging tool. So that would be the second. In other words, you don't really need us anymore to produce a software, a tool, an app, a simulation. This is super easy to do. The third tool is the chatbot, generating your own chatbot. Because again, this is an example of an interactive tool that carries a lot of knowledge that you control, that can take the edge off of answering the first level of student inquiries. So you can just deploy it, and after you deploy it easily, you can control how it answers and what it answers, and in doing so, alleviate a lot of the burden of having to answer questions. I would say also an honorable mention goes to automated grading tools. If you are somebody who do a lot of assessments, whether those are paper-based assessments, whether those are electronic assessments, and you realize the importance of providing quality feedback to the students, which is the only way that they can improve, then now you can provide that quality feedback en masse by using AI to help you with the grading process. So this is where we drive as educators the most value off of using AI.
Thank you very much for this very important point. Just to highlight things to my colleagues is that it helped the student to learn better, to study better through the notebook LM, because it can summarize, it can give flashcards, it can give quizzes and MCQs. So it's usually creating a sort of adaptive learning, customized learning to the learner. And this might help students to learn better. Second, it helped the teacher to provide teaching material, interactive one, engaging for the student better. And this is the second point. My question is that, and that's a great, as you said, Google AI Studio, that translating ideas into a demonstration that make the student engagement. This is a very fantastic one. My question is about the assessment and grading. Is there a specific software you are using for that issue?
Yes, I personally like to give exams that are multiple choice based in many cases. And there is a tool, and I like to do them on paper. I don't like to do them with electronic sources because it's my own belief. I know I should not say this as a technologist. It's my own belief. If there is an electronic device, if there is a transistor in the room, then there are the chances of cheating because of the communication ability of even the headset. So I run my exams on paper because it allows me to distribute them and monitor them easily. But
Sorry, you are muted, Dr. Mohammed. Sorry.
sorry. So I'll go back to the automated grading. And what I want to say is this, is that I am, and I should not say this, a firm believer that electronics should not exist in an exam room. If you do any exam on an iPad or a phone, you cannot protect it. The chance exists that students would cheat. So what I do is that I use AI to generate my exams. and I audit those exams. So that's one example, is that I create multiple versions where the questions are varied and where the answers orders are varied as well. So I randomize using AI. In addition to this, I use a tool called EvalB, and that tool would allow me to grade papers that are multiple choice question papers automatically and get a list of the students' grades that can be trusted from those. So I use a combination of generative AI to produce the exams in many different versions, and then EvalB allows me to do grading of those papers, especially if it's multiple choice, en masse for a large group of students reliably. This is the combo that I use, and I do
Yes.
not believe in any other combo because I think that cheating
If there is any tool to grade the short essay or modified essay questions?
Of course. Many tools do this. Grammarly to me is the best in doing so, but again, there are emerging tools like Walpot and others that have mastered the art of grading written assessments. Even Blackboard and LMSs now they come with assessments that uses AI for providing feedback and grading. So this has become a norm. If you provide, and I'm not going to tell you what tools because this is my belief. Even with ChatGPT itself or Gemini itself, which is open and accessible and everybody can use, provided that you can give the correct prompt, it can do the grading for you. And if you give it the rubric, if you give it the papers, if you give it the students' IDs, then it's gonna do a proper job of doing so. We have tested it, and what we have found about it is the following, and this is research based. The difference between AI's performance in grading written assessment compared to a human is not more than the difference between two human graders themselves. Yeah, in other words, if you give this to an AI and to two different graders, you will find that the differences between them is within the same kind of differences that they have between each other. So intergrader differences are our measure of quality of this. So, but again, we always like to use something called human in the loop, in the sense that you need to audit to ensure you need to give it the right system prompt and context. And if you're going to be doing grading across different groups of students, you need to carry context with you. What does that mean? Yani suppose that you graded a section and you want to be consistent in grading the other section. You need to get AI to give you a summary of the findings from the first section and use it in your prompt in the second section. Because this is where it will carry. I only saw 20 papers in the first section. I didn't see, the 20 papers in the second section, presumably. So now, if I ask AI to grade the first 20 and produce the insight it has learned from grading them, then I can take that insight as a paragraph, as a summary, and then provide it in grading the second group of 20 papers, and it will be far more consistent in doing the grading across multiple sections. So even that, it's not a tool, but it's a little bit of know-how of how to use and mold AI that would allow you to drive far better value than you would otherwise if you would basically simply ask it to grade and give you the feedback.
Great, thank you. Thank you very much. Dr. Hala, shall we continue before taking other question?
Yes, definitely. Let me share my slides from this end. You can see the slide and I can make it full screen. Is it clear now?
Yes.
So we ended here. So thank you so much again. And maybe I want to add to what Dr. Mohammed mentioned. So here, all the tools, he mentioned great tools, but from my experience here, right, we have regulations. So we have a policy, and we'll talk about it, which I believe the strategies and key steps for medical schools to take, because medical schools are not in isolation, right? Part of big system or a university. So we depend on, or we are advised, directed to use Microsoft, not Google. But I use all the tools that Dr. Mohammed mentioned for my own, because I agree with him, really useful. And for grading, we have a speedometer grading that's provided by the university, easy to use, and can also help us with grading essays in addition to like when we have the results from students' performance, Q1, Q2 in your case, but for us, like kind of like the exams, whatever. So many tools, the tools Dr. Mohammed mentioned, I believe for Iraq contest will be very helpful, since I believe you use Google. So let's move on to my the second half of my presentation. I believe I ended here, where kind of AI power tools for students, for teachers, and for administrators. So a combination. And I firmly believe, and I hope that our schools also do the same, believe it's interdisciplinary, multidisciplinary. It's not only the responsibility of the medical school, and I believe you have other schools like engineering and others, as Dr. Mohammed mentioned. He said, you don't need us, mean like scientists or engineers anymore. I think it's very important for the literacy side of it, collaboration, and also I would say things related to the overall vision, values, goals of the university, right? So medical school, as I mentioned, is part of many other schools within the university. So move on to preparing for an AI-driven future in med-ed. So I believe in Iraq, the strategy should be multifaceted, right? So we need to focus on integrating, ensuring that AI competencies, literacy, and ethics throughout a medical training program from day one. So redesigning the curriculum is very important, and I believe many schools now working on it, investing in faculty development through training courses, sessions. I trained myself, self-learning. It's available. The tools are available, provided by my university or many universities here. I look at them, but I invest time and resources to get better educated on responsible, effective, and ethical use of AI skills. And I believe it's important for a setting like Iraq to not to leave it for educators to use whatever tools. And this is the responsibility of the deans or responsibility of the university. Infrastructure, and I believe this is very, very critical for any technology, right? Investing or creating an AI-enabled environments, learning environments with libraries, with resources, with courses and learning guides or materials, very important for students, for educators and administrators. Again, I also emphasized in my sessions ensuring the partnerships and collaborations, whether locally, at the local level. I mean, when I say locally, at Iraq level within universities, at the regional level. Now we learned a lot from Dr. Mohammed, as well as globally. So having these partnerships and fostering engagements and partnerships between and among schools and tech groups, very important. We also mentioned in one of the sessions, and I believe I presented a visual. I emphasize that. I always say that because I also facilitate sessions on governance. And it's very, very important that for all schools to have, from policy level, then strategy, guidance. We emphasize the point of guidance, having guidance for students, for teachers, and everyone using it. What to do, what not to do, what to use, what not to use. And in this visual, I broke it down into 6 simple steps. It's not a roadmap, it's just a simple visual that it's important, whether the school already started on using, embedding, and integrating AI tools, or thinking of, which I believe we should do, we must do, and embark on this. This is a simple kind of a 6-step iterative process to ensure efficient and high quality, responsible, I emphasize the word responsible, use and implementation of AI platforms in medical education. So that it's very important to define our goals. When I say define our goals, really, I saw in the chat box one of the questions about the tools. It's very critical for us because many priorities, right? Investment, funding, other priorities. Maybe this is now the priority for the university, but there are other competing priorities. Really emphasize with timeline. What is our top priority now? Which tool, which system? And we should cover all, not to focus on one thing. So that would be my recommendation. Choosing the format, and we talked about whether it's Google or whether it's Microsoft. Yes, there are many platforms. I think it's very important that we use the proven, the one that's already evaluated, the ones that Dr. Mohammed mentioned all very well, but especially that we are controlling AI, as Dr. Mohammed mentioned, controlling the content. We know what's the content that we have. So we upload our material, our resources, whatever, summary books, or even I write a summary, like I write my keynotes and kind of a mini lecture. And so our notes, in addition to the resources, it's very important for schools to choose the format, unless the Ministry of Higher Education already dictated that use this and you can use only this, because so this is very important, and we'll leave it for questions and answers and discussions. So my key takeaway or point from this, not leave it like haphazardly. Anyone can choose any tool. I think at least at the university level, there should be, I would say, approval or whatever, endorsement, whatever the right wording used for that. Then deployment, we need to have a plan, right? We need for the deployment, determine the implementation steps and roll out the timeline for it. We cannot just do it, and I'm sure you are all scientists, educators here, but it's if we have not started or started like early steps, it's very important that we have an operational plan for AI deployment at the university, with measurements. I truly believe if you don't, you cannot manage what you don't measure. So it's very important that we determine our evaluation process and indicators for us, and establish data source policies and privacy protections. This is the data governance. Make sure that we align our AI capabilities with specific educational tasks. And I believe Dr. Mohammed touched on these, very important. Determining who will do what. It's very important as also part of structure and governance, and making sure that we have oversight to ensure quality and ethical standards. So to embrace transformative, I would say, process interventions, whatever, for med-ed. AI, this is a quote here, AI is not a replacement, but it's a powerful partner in training, med-ed education, as well as preparing and empowering the next generation of physicians. We say augmentation here. Augment, it's our partner, but not to replace us. It's a great tool, freeing up your time to do more time with your students, to have more time with your students and focus on their gaps, focus on their needs. Thoughtful integration of AI enhances learning, definitely experiences and outcomes, and support dedicated educators, which ultimately improves patient outcomes across the healthcare system. So I would like to leave us with some questions. I'm sure you have many questions, but for me, I listed some questions here. I will leave the screen on here for us to reflect on. We covered a lot today, right? But I would say important for me as a takeaway, this is my our third session on AI, and we can have as many since it's a series of sessions on this. It's what is the trigger? What's next? And my question is for the leader in the room, right? When I say leaders, deans, what is stopping you? So I think it's already here. it's here, and it's moving very fast. You heard me saying this, and everyone is talking about it, and many universities, whether at the regional level, global level, really moving ahead with these platforms. So I will stop here to make sure we have time for questions and answers. I can stop sharing screen because I don't see the participants, and would love to move to questions and answers.
Thank you, Dr. Halala.
Okay.
Right now, we have some time for the open discussion. Please, if you have any questions, you can feel free to raise your hand and participate. And if you want, you can leave your questions in the chat box, and we'll leave some time for them at the end of the discussion. Thank you.
Excellent.
I think Dr. Mohammed Umar is raising his hand.
Feel free to open your mic, Dr.
Okay. Thank you very much, Dr. Hala. Thank you very much, Dr. Mohammed Ghazal. Really, it was a very interesting session, and I think this part was complementary to what Dr. Hala presented in Suleimani in the last RCP ceremony. Thank you again. As you know, this is a very somewhat new topic for us, and we need more and more. I have 2 points regarding number one. You mentioned, Dr. Muhammad mentioned about the AI mistake. So how this can be legally dealt with, number one. Number two, we are as a College of Medicine university level. I think in UAE, in Emirates, the university has its own AI agreement with some reliable, let me say, publisher. As I know, I think with Elsevier, for example, in order not everyone using any program that may be weak, you know, usually our people are searching for a weak, free programs, which are usually, you know, the free ones are usually very limited knowledge and capacity, but the purchased one usually are more. This is true for all the programs. So you think we have to, on a personal level, start? Of course, this is, we know we should, but the academic side, I mean the university or the college, of course, this should be paid for in order to have a reliable resources that the, let me see, tutors can depend on for teaching and for assessment, because this is as this lecture, this presentation of today was a very, very rich, and there are so many titles that tackled. So I hope in the future you present an AI in a very specific one in order practically give one, not you know, you tackle 100 titles, and you, I know these are all important, but to be practical, just tackling or dedicating the lecture for AI in research, for example, AI in OSCE exam. In this way, I think all of us getting more detail and more benefit. Thank you very much again.
Thank you so much, Dr. Muhammad. I agree with you that a specific domain or use case would definitely present more concrete ways of driving value. However, the purpose of today, which does not have to be the last, it was to survey the areas. And name dropping is all what today was about, because this is where you know which application areas are more attuned with your needs and which ones are maybe not as important. So, as a starter, the point was to give you the lay of the land in terms of where people are driving value. And then you're right. Then comes the next step of investigating how one particular, I like, let's say, automated grading. So how can this be done A to Z? Or I like to address the whole issue of how can we do reliable medical research using a GPT of sorts. And I agree with you. Those with means have access to better data, like let's say publishers. And with that better data, they can drive value. They have been trying to sell everybody the access to a GPT trained on their data. But at the same time, there is a marketplace. It's not, the cost is not as prohibitive as you want, as you think it is. Yani there is a marketplace for GPT that have been trained, GPT, yani different AIs, different models that have been trained on different types of data, and people sell you the model. So you get access to a model, you don't need the data. خلاص, the model has trained on this data. So they would, for example, tell you, like I'll give you an example. There's one which is called Scholar GPT. Scholar GPT. So it wasn't the full body of the internet that was used as training material for this. It was only papers. So it is far better at answering questions related to papers and making, accurate outputs as opposed to, for example, hallucinating or giving errors. So you are right. The better trained or more specific trained the AI is, the more it will be suited for your needs. But it's not as hard as you think to find an LLM that has already been trained on a specific body of knowledge, let's say cardiology. So you might find one that is being trained already by cardiologists on a body of knowledge that is respected by them to try to address only questions related to cardiology and whatnot. Just look for one and you'll find there is a marketplace for them.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Dr. Mohammed. Dr. Abdul Salam, you can feel free to open your mic.
Okay, thank you so much for the chairman and for the esteemed speakers for this insightful, really, presentation and very hot topic. Unfortunately, here I think that our academics in Iraq are reluctant to use it, unfortunately, and this is the big obstacle. The second thing that I think that because now we are moving toward development of skills rather than knowledge, I think that AI should be included in the curriculum as a topic for skill development, and there should be a fixed hours of schedule should be schedulized in the early entrance of our medical students. The other important thing is prompting. Prompting by itself is a skill, prompting, because the more you use of academic terms, the less the hallucinating outcome would be. And this is by itself a skill to develop, because LLM and other agents will be trained the more they use and will be customized, and your response would be different from your colleague using different prompts. The other thing is that I think that the tool is a collaborative rather than a substitute. It is a collaborative. That, as one of our colleagues mentioned, that first I think we have to go through Google AI or Scholar AI to go to the resources, and then it can be handled by other AI to generate a well-sourced, a well-academic-based knowledge. Then you can formulate it according to the level you need it, whether undergraduate or postgraduate, the form you need. Even nowadays, academics writing depends in publication. You can use it, for example, like Grammarly. Grammarly can go and check the grammar, the punctuation, everything, and this will speed up your time and the quality of your product. Thank you.
شكرا أستاذ عبد السلام. حضرتك من يا كلية؟
أنا بالوقت الحاضر أنا متقاعد ريتايد، بس
أهلا
أنا
وسهلا.
وقت
أهلا
أتذكر
وسهلا.
اتصور التقينا كان لما سوينا كان فتره كان عندكم برزنتيشن وذ جامعه دهوك، انا كنت موجود معكم.
اهلا وسهلا، اهلا وسهلا، مرحبا. يعني اخوان، حتى يكون هذا السيشن عندنا برودكتيف، شكر جزيل للدكتوره هاله والدكتور محمد حقيقه على highlighting these important, especially دكتور محمد يتكلم عن تجربه تطبيقيه موجوده في جامعه راقيه مثل جامعه ابو ظبي. لذلك نحاول نستغل وجود دكتورة هالة أيضا، ونتفق على المين بوينت، أو إذا قلنا المايلستونز اللي ممكن نخليها في بالنا for the future in Iraq. أتمنى من الأساتذة الموجودين معنا، سواء أنه كانوا العمداء، شوف الدكتور وليد وبقية الأساتذة المحترمين، يكتبون على الشات بوكس what are their main priorities, what are the main challenges that they are facing at their daily practice, at their academic institution, in the teaching and learning process. If they put in the chat box what are the main obstacles The main challenge is that we want to make use of the AI experience in just fixing these problems. I can list some of them, but I need another opinion from other faculties and deans, vice deans, etc. And I can say one of them is that the large number of students and the mismatch between faculty to student ratio. Can AI support in fixing or bridging the gap in this issue? The second one, as you know, there is what is a quote called one size doesn't fit all, especially in the learning process. Some medical students learn quickly, others not, and they need their time to get well about their experience. So, is there is a chance for to fix this gap with the using of the AI technology? The third thing is that Dr. Abdulsalam mentioned very important point, skills. Is AI is useful in a better learning of skills, whether practical skills, procedural skills, clinical skills, etc.? Is that be useful? So there are so many things in our mind, but let's put our priority and decide what can we do in the near future. So we are expecting you to put in the chat box what do you think the main challenges that we want to fix. While I am discussing that with Dr. Mohammed. Dr. Mohammed Ghazal, do you think that the AI can be useful in bridging the gap between the ratio between faculty to student ratio, which is sometimes is not available at our medical colleges? Do you think there is a chance to bridge this gap?
Yes, yes. Allow me to show you something here. I'll share my screen to show it. Um, can you see my screen?
Yes.
Okay, so this is a digital copy of me delivering a lecture. Now, everything about this one is AI generated. There is me, there is my audio, there is the content of the slides, and there is the material. So this allows one particular teacher, for example, this is the know-how is a little bit more involved, but it's still fully tool-based. It allows you to be able to give instructions to digital copies of you to produce content that you would then audit and improve the accuracy of and ensure that it is what you want. And then in doing so, produce a virtually endless supply of adapted material to the different students' needs.
Yeah.
Typically, the biggest challenge of dealing with a large class are twofold. One is that you are using as you mentioned it adequately, one size fits all in terms of the delivery. Some students may need additional content depending on their backgrounds, lack of prerequisites, or some additional examples or use cases or. So you were always limited in terms of how you could produce these in a manner that is carrying your brand, carrying your flavor, carrying your treatment of the topic. Now you are not. So you can produce this liberally and even on an individual student's basis. The other aspect of this is being able to analyze the student's performance and giving them meaningful feedback on a larger scale. And again, now you can copy yourself as an evaluator by establishing exactly how you want the evaluations to be happening in terms of the rubric. And as was mentioned by Dr. Abdul Salam, the way to do this is to refine your prompt skills. If you do and if you become a very competent prompter, which is a skill, you can start to utilize this in order to produce the right feedback in a manner consistent with your own views on it for a large body of students. The last point is in addressing students' questions and inquiries and interactions. And this is where chatbots help. You can design again, the chatbot is a replication of you. It's a digital copy of how you would answer the questions. You are providing the questions and the answers, which is not that different from, if you remember, the fact that people used to keep, the frequently asked questions list. Something similar, but more interactive and more accessible, and meets the students where they are, which is on their mobile phones and devices, to give them a gateway to, pick your brains on certain matters in a manner consistent with your views. So this does not necessarily fix the student to faculty ratio issue, but it definitely multiplies the faculty so that whatever they give in terms of feedback and engagement, as well as in terms of content, is now scalable. And you become an AI powered teacher. You become a very productive and very capable teacher of managing this, as opposed to fixing the ratio. It is improving you as a teacher.
Thank you very much.
Dr. Nael, I believe you can ask your question now.
Assalamu alaikum. Thank you very much, Dr. Mohammed and Dr. Hala, for the amazing lecture. I appreciate that you went over the pros and cons of developing of integrating AI in the teaching system. I would like to introduce myself. I'm Dr. Nal. I'm a fresh graduate, and I have a few one statement and one question to Dr. Mohammed. So to start things, I think that generative AI is useful from the student perspective because I am able to extract more and achieve more in a fixed amount of time. But I was wondering whether generative AI, like this, is the student perspective on the quality of generative AI material, has it been researched? Because from my perspective, I would rather have the actual lecturer give me the lecture rather than have, let's say, a figure or an AI replica of the lecture.
Yeah. I agree with you. Unfortunately, we have two problems in that regard. Is number one, we have now students who are digital natives, and in doing so, they have come to trust the internet and what comes through it, including AI generated output, way too much. And unfortunately, they find it to be conveniently enough or good enough. And that is extremely dangerous. And this is part of our duties as educators to prove to them that AI makes mistakes, to shake that kind of foundational trust that is, definitely misplaced, and to, in doing so, increase their readiness to become critical evaluators of AI's work. In general, all of us are going to morph into not producers of work as much as auditors and critical assessors of work. AI will be doing that work, but it's up to us to ensure that it doesn't do a mistake. Now, this is a harder role because AI looks competent. It looks trustworthy. When sometimes, to spot a mistake by somebody who knows that they are doing a mistake is far easier than it is by somebody who argues the mistake as if it was absolutely correct. And this is where the hallucination is most dangerous. So, to create a doctor who is capable enough to be able to tell AI you are wrong on that diagnosis when it looks like it is not, is more of a challenge than to create a doctor that comes up with the diagnosis itself. Now, here is one thing. The other thing that is a problem is offloading. A lot of students offload learning to AI, so they don't do the work. They copy the question into AI, produce an answer, and then put it there. And do that for a lot of the assessments, and the teachers might know about it, might do something about it, or might completely ignore it, or feel that it's hopeless at that case. When we offload learning and when we offload cognitive ability to AI, it will hinder our ability to connect information in our head and produce innovative ideas. Because the way we learn is when neural connections are created in the brain in response to stimulus and informations and skills. So if we keep just being the middleman or women transferring, questions and queries to AI and then getting their answers and trusting those answers, we will become less intelligent. And this is extremely dangerous because that means we become less innovative as well. This is a pandemic. It's really a problem. I'll give you an example. We had a competition for high school students, and it presented them with 10 problems that they have to solve themselves. The year before, we received 600 submissions for these problems from the schools. This year, we received 3,600 submissions, the majority of which are AI. That means we're talking about students in grade 6, 7, 8, and 9 defaulting to copy-pasting the questions to AI, copy-pasting the answer to the submission, and in doing so, circumventing the entire learning process. So it's up to us to block it. It's up to us to ensure that no one goes through the system unless they are well trained and well equipped to handle what is becoming essentially an addiction. I hope that it's not a very popular view, but this is my strong belief that we need more foundational knowledge and skills because we need to build the doctor that will challenge the AI, not the and prove them wrong. And also we need to block cognitive offloading to AI, or we'll just get less competent doctors in the future.
Thank you very much.
I think we are approaching, we have only 3 minutes left, Dr. Karar, just to manage the time, to keep the time.
نعم دكتور تحب نجاوب أحد الأسئلة اللي بالشات
Final,
أو
واحد Zamdar is raising his hand.
نعم دكتور دكتور محمد لقمان يسأل إنه to what extent can AI agent be ensured to handle marking and student assessment task given the fact that different AI models primarily rely on a certain set of type of system slash data and they often hallucinate or create confidentially false result or decisions without prior notice?
It depends on the types of questions that you ask and the way that students would answer. Is the answer digital in nature? Are students typing out the answers or using tools that would have them enter the answers in the form of a figure or a math or a table and so on? If it's digital, then of course we bypass the errors in digitization of that input. Okay, so that reduces the errors. If it's written, if it's handwritten, that makes it harder because now the variability is way more and AI has to be capable enough to be able to digitize the answers first before checking those answers. And that enters into an area where you have to check for optical character recognition or handwriting recognition and whatnot. So it becomes a layer of challenges that would lead into lower performance. If your questions are multiple choice or true and false or short answers, then AI's ability to produce accurate accurate feedback and accurate assessments is way higher. Now, what I can tell you confidently is that AI is doing a reasonable job compared to humans. And if you give the same paper to two different humans and a third one being the AI, and I brought that example before, you'll find that the differences between grader 1 and grader 2 are the same as the differences between grader 1 and AI and grader 2 and AI. So do we really want it to be perfect when we are sure that the grading process itself lacks perfection? So we should look at it as a way to improve the status quo, but not to get error-free, no false positive, no false negatives, and so on. So that's why you should have a system whereby you run your own quality control on top of the AI's grading, as in human in the loop. So don't rely fully on the grading of the AI. No, look at what feedback it gives. If it agrees with your own assessment, then fine. If it doesn't, then refine your prompt and have it do regrading again and keep calibrating it until it's replicating your own flavor of how you assess and what kind of. I'll give you an example, just small example before I end. One time I was grading lab reports and I decided I'm going to be using AI because I had many of them. So it ended up producing a grade for the students who are the top students in the class, lower than those that were, in my mind, less performing. So it was an inverted grading expectation there. When I looked into it, the reason why the students who were the top in the class produced scores that are lower is because they relied less on AI and they used their human ability to write the report. While the other ones, relied fully on AI, so they produced obviously better output, especially as non-native English speakers than the other ones. So I had to go, okay, now I understand the problem. So I went back and I adjusted the prompt so that I can first discover a human from AI grading and then apply different scheme here and there, thus fixing the problem. So you need to be involved and calibrate if you want to get the best value out of this. There's no silver bullet, but there is definitely an improvement on using automated grading than the one that you would otherwise not use. But if you want more reliable, I can confidently tell you that multiple choice questions can be graded quite reliably with AI. And that at least not you don't have to have the entire exam as multiple choice. You could have a portion of it, and that portion is time saved. And then the rest of it can be written based if you do not trust AI to grade that.
Thank you, Dr. Mohammed. I believe we have reached the end of our session today. Thank you, Dr. Mohammed Ghazal and Dr. Hala Al-Mosawi.
Final word for Dr. Hala, please.
تفضل
Yes.
دكتورة.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, everyone. I know it's evening your time, but special thanks to Dr. Mohammed for accommodating our request, joining us, providing us with this really amazing and very informative lecture. I know it's late, by the way. It's 9 p.m. in Abu Dhabi. It's 8 in Baghdad. So, and he's still in the office. So very much appreciate your effort, and thank you, everyone. I saw many questions from the audience. We can answer these questions, but I have asked for Dr. Hilal if RCP, based on the interaction and the feedback we received, maybe as we have series for AI for med-ed, maybe can determine like kind of the next series that would be beneficial and useful for the audience. That would be great. I thank you very much, and see you soon hopefully. And Dr. Mohammed, I'm not in Iraq. أهلي بالعراق وكل الموجودين أهلي, but would love to have you in person in many events that we have, and thank you in person as well.
Oh, you're most welcome. I hope that you were able to benefit from this, and I'll be more than happy to support in any other way. The slides at the very beginning has my contact info for those who still want to reach me about any particular question. And thank you, Dr. Hala, for the invite, and thank you everybody for listening. And I know it's late for everybody, so my time is not more important than theirs. Thank you for being here for that, and hopefully I'll be able to see you soon in maybe other events. Thank you so much.
Thank you
Thank
very
you
much.
very
Over
much,
to you,
Dr.
Dr.
Mohammed.
Hilal.
Thank
Yes.
you very much, Dr. Mohammed. From now, you are very welcome to attend our 6th anniversary, inshallah, December 26th. Usually we have our anniversary at December, on December. So you are very welcomed to attend one of the session to do a face-to-face workshop in this very important issue. And I'm sure we are going to see you again and again. I think this is only the start of collaborative work with your kind self, with your institution as well. And we hope that it will be bringing a better application, understanding application of AI at Iraqi Medical Institution. شكرا جزيلا دكتورة هالة. شكرا جزيلا للفيوتشر leaders, دكتور كرار, دكتور عمر, دكتورة مريم, for your moderating the session. شكرا للأساتذة العمداء, معاونين العمداء, أساتذة الكليات اللي كانوا معنا لأول مرة. سيشن للار سي بي راك نتورك يوصل لاتنديز 180 ويبقى above 100 after 2 hours from starting of the meeting, and this is a record time. Thank you very much, وجزاكم الله خير، وإن شاء الله أشوفكم على خير، تصبحون على خير إن شاء الله.
السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. تصبحون على خير. ربي يوفقكم جميعا.
جميعا من أهل الخير. شكرا جزيلا.
شكرا. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته.
أجد له حلويات بابا.